Hello, my name is Yara Nasser. Today I will be presenting my ethical decision-making analysis of the case of Noura at Bright Future Academy. This case examines an ethical dilemma in the education system involving grade inflation, academic integrity, and fairness towards students. Using the ethical decision-making framework, I will analyze the situation step by step. I will begin by explaining the facts of the case, and I will identify the ethical issues involved, discussing the stakeholders affected, evaluating possible alternatives using ethical theories, and finally presenting the best decision along with how it should be monitored. In this presentation, I will walk through several important parts of the ethical decision-making framework. First, I will explain the facts of the case, which provide the background of the situation. Then I will identify the main ethical issues involved in the case. And then next, I will discuss the stakeholders, meaning like the individuals, groups affected by the situation. After that, I will present three possible alternatives for how Noura could respond. These alternatives would be evaluated using three ethical theories: Aristotle's virtue ethics, Kant's duty-based ethics, and Mill's utilitarianism. Then I will present the best decision and explaining how it should be implemented and conclude with how the situation should be monitored moving forward with the case. Let's begin with the facts. Noura works as an academic coordinator at Bright Future Academy. At the moment, the school is preparing for an important accreditation review. However, there appears to be a serious problem with the school's grading practices. Internal student scores are relatively low, but the final grades recorded are much higher. Teachers are reportedly pressured by the administration to pass students even when their academic performance does not justify it. In addition, some students were allowed to pass despite having very low attendance, which violates standard academic policies. Another concern is that scholarship students were excluded, which means that they are raising questions about fairness and discrimination. These actions suggest that the school may be manipulating these results to appear more successful during accreditation. This situation places Noura in a very difficult position because she must decide whether to remain silent or address these ethical concerns. Several ethical issues arise in this case. The first is grade inflation, where students receive higher grades than they actually deserve. Second, there is academic dishonesty because the school is misrepresenting students' real performance. Third, this situation could lead to fraud in accreditation process since the school may be presenting inaccurate information to external evaluators. Another ethical concern is discrimination because scholarship students appear to be treated differently. There are potential privacy violations if student data is being manipulated or improperly handled. Overall, the central ethical issues in this case is integrity in education, because educational institutions have a responsibility to maintain honest, fair, and transparent. If those principles are violated, the credibility of the entire system is at risk. Now let's look at the stakeholders affected by the situation. First are the primary stakeholders who are directly involved. These include Noura herself, who must decide how to act. They also include the students, whose academic records and future opportunities may be affected. The teachers are also stakeholders because they may feel pressured to participate in unethical grading practices. The school administration is directly involved since their decisions influence the policies being followed as well. There are also secondary stakeholders. These include parents who trust the school to provide honest education, the accrediting agency, which relies on accurate data when evaluating institutions, universities, which may accept students based on their grades that are not fully accurate, and finally, the school's reputation, which could be damaged if these practices become public. Noura has three main alternatives. The first option is alternative A, to remain silent. In this scenario, Noura would choose not to report the issue and simply continue her work. The second option is alternative B, to report the issue internally. This means Noura would bring her concerns to higher authorities within the school, such as senior administrators or ethics committees. The third option is alternative C, to report the issue externally, meaning she could inform the accreditation body or another external authority if the issue continues. Each option has different consequences and ethical implications. To evaluate these alternatives, we can apply three ethical theories. First is Aristotle's virtue ethics, which focuses on character and moral virtues. Remaining silent would show a lack of courage and integrity. Reporting internally reflects virtues such as fairness and responsibility. External reporting may also be justified if internal actions fail. Next is Kant's duty-based ethics, which emphasizes doing what is morally right, regardless of the consequences. From this perspective, ignoring the issue would violate Noura's duty to uphold honesty and fairness. Reporting internally fulfills her moral duty. External reporting would also be justified if internal efforts do not resolve the problem. Finally, Mill's utilitarianism focuses on maximizing overall well-being. Remaining silent could cause long-term harm to students and institutions. Reporting internally provides the best balance by addressing the issue while minimizing immediate disruption. External reporting may be necessary if internal solutions fail in order to prevent greater harm. After evaluating the alternatives, the best decision is alternative B, to report the issue internally. This approach allows Noura to address the problem responsibly while respecting the organization's internal processes. She should document all evidence clearly, including grading discrepancies and any instructions given to teachers. Then, she could report these concerns to appropriate authorities within the school. If the administration fails to address the problem, escalation to external authorities may become necessary. This step-by-step approach ensures that Noura acts ethically while giving the institution the opportunity to correct its practices. Once the issue is addressed, it is important to implement monitoring mechanisms. First, the school should regularly review grading practices to ensure accuracy and transparency. Second, internal and final grades should be compared systematically to detect inconsistencies. Third, teachers should be protected from retaliation and their confidentiality should be respected. The school must also ensure fair student selection policies, especially regarding scholarships. Finally, student data should be handled carefully to maintain privacy and security. These monitoring measures will help prevent similar ethical issues in the future. To conclude, this case is about more than simply protecting the school's reputation. It raises important questions about integrity, fairness, responsibility in education. Noura faces a challenging ethical dilemma, but by following the ethical decision-making framework, she can approach the situation very carefully and responsibly. Reporting the issue internally is the most balanced and ethical solution because it addresses the problem while allowing the institution to correct its behavior. If internal action fails, external reporting may become necessary to protect students and maintain trust in the educational system. Ultimately, maintaining the ethical standards is essential for preserving fairness, credibility, and respect within education. Thank you.